we want it to be inspiring for all ages. We hope that a 16-year-old can go to these camps and say that, okay, maybe I'm having tough teenage years, but look at this woman. She's 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. She's out there doing it.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boys, a swim run podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 144 of the show. On this week's show, we welcome back the co-founder of Wild Swimrun and an all-around amazing human being, Maria Rohman. It's hard to believe that the last time we had Mia on the show was way back in episode 10. Way back. But she's back to share all the latest news of what's going on at Wild Swimrun and share her thoughts on how to inspire the next generation of swim runners.
But first, training update. So SwimrunNC, it's coming right up. It's in just over a little over a week.
I know.
Lord, it's here.
Wow.
It's here. So we're not sure we're going to get a swim run practice in, but I guess we're good for it after Attila. But we're going to keep on the trails, keep on the hills, and swimming. But really looking forward to get out there and roughing it up with everyone. They posted the start lists for the men's and women's. I have to assume that the mix would be on there as well. It
was.
Can't wait to see everybody.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time out there in North Carolina for the final SwimrunNC.
That's right.
On a related note, if you're going to join the Low Tide Boys and race the final SwimrunNC, join us on Saturday, October 15th for a swim run shakeout and fika. This is a triple hosted event by Team Spam Fika, Marcus and Kavika, the Wild Swimrun ladies, Team Adorkable, and the Low Tide Boys. So it's going to be at the Green Heron Ale House. Starts at 3 p.m. local time, which is sandwiched in between when you can do your packet pickup.
Yep.
So get your packet, come over, meet us, do a little 45-minute swim run thing, check out some of the course. You can even jump in the water, see how the water is. If you have any questions about transitions, how to get your buoy, ask Marcus. And we will also be there. And, of course, in true swim run fashion, there's going to be a little fika after, a little snack for ourselves. Get your right as rain for the race on Sunday. So that's 3 p.m. on Saturday, October 15th. Excited to see you all out there.
Yeah.
Now, on to this week's shout-outs.
I'm gonna just give you this shout out.
You're gonna like Federer.
I'm just gonna give
You're
it to you.
You're gonna volley right back.
Why don't you do this one?
Well, I'm gonna take that back. The shout out this week is going to my good buddy and a fan of the show. He's a Low Tide Boys fan, Nate. He finished the Run Rabbit Run 100-mile race a few weeks ago. This is a daunting. He was telling me the stats I couldn't even comprehend. It took him over 31 hours to finish the grueling course, which had over 16,000 feet of elevation gain. There was bears. He got stung by multiple bees, thunderstorms, all sorts of things happening out there for Run Rabbit Run a couple weeks ago. Kudos, Nate. Nice job and very strong work, sir.
Did he see any rabbits?
You know what? I didn't,
running away?
Let alone two, because there's two in the race thing. No, there's one. They should be running, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was bears. Maybe they ran away from the bears.
It's like, the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. People are always complaining why there weren't any tigers or dragons.
Yeah.
It's because they were crouching and or hiding.
Wow.
Yep.
Feats of Endurance. Take it away.
Dad joke. All right, Feats of Endurance. So this week's Feats of Endurance winner is Rob Balukas. Now, back in 2015, Rob was in a serious bike accident in Marin County while training for his first 70.3 triathlon in Santa Cruz. He was paralyzed from the waist down. In the years since, he's been racing a bunch of Ironmans. He's involved in the Challenge Athletes Foundation and basically goes around inspiring people all day. Fast forward to today. At the time that this podcast is being released, he is racing the Ironman World Championship in Kona for the first time. So, super inspiring story. We have a link to his website in the show notes. You can check that out. But best of luck, and we're rooting for you. Bonus shout out, Helen Vikmar of Arc Sports. She's also racing her first Ironman World Championship today. So, pretty exciting.
I know what wetsuit she's going to wear.
Oh, yeah. gonna be fast.
Are you an ARC? Are you the goat? Are you in the ARC goat?
Yeah, exactly. So that's it for this Feats of Endurance. Make sure to sign up for our Low Tide Boys Strava Club so we can see what you're doing and follow and join other swim runners from around the world as they train for their events and other stuff.
Chris, why don't you keep it over there at the news desk for This Week in Swim Run?
All right, we got a super short update this week. So the Troll Inez swim run took place in France over the weekend, and this Attila merit race did not disappoint. Shout out to friends of the pod, Matthew and Eugenii, who won the mixed division.
Nice.
And came in second overall on the 50K course. And in case anyone hasn't gotten their minds blown yet today, their finishing time was 4 hours and 32 minutes. Which for a standalone 50K,
that's quick even for a 50K.
Yeah, if you're just running a 50K, like that'd be
Wow.
pretty nice. So amazing. Speaking of the course, the race takes place in the Gulf of Morbihan in Brittany, which is a very interesting region of France, which I really only know about from the Tour de France because sometimes they go through that area and they talk about it. I looked up this section on the internet and I just have 3 words for our listeners about this Gulf. Inland Sea Archipelago.
I know about those.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Ooh.
So super, super cool. Anyway, that to me that's all I needed to know. Like you had me at Inland Sea.
Did you put it on the bucket list?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's on there. Sorry.
Noted.
Sorry. I don't even consult you about what goes on the bucket list.
I'm aware.
Coming up next weekend is another race on our bucket list. Attila can. And I speaking for myself, I can already feel the level of FOMO rising. Last year's race was every swim runner's dream, and this race is going to be no different this year. By the way, they still have some slots available, so if you're feeling like swim running in the south of France next weekend, by all means, let us live vicariously through you. That's it for this week. Feel free to reach out. Let us know if there's anything that you'd like for us to mention on the show.
Yes, now for some show business. Formerly Low Tide Boys updates, but now it's show business.
I like show business and then like a pregnant pause. You're nailing it. You're nailing it.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it. So this week's episode is all about the positive vibes that make swim run such an amazing sport and community. So help us grow this community by considering to donate to Wild Swimrun's Wild Youth Initiative. So this initiative helps fund like a scholarship for women and girls to attend one of Wild Swimrun's awesome camps. Since episode 10, which is where we originally learned of Wild Swimrun and Mia and Fanny's venture and goal to get more women into the sport of swim run, we've raised enough money to fund 2 scholarships, and now we're close to funding a third. So head on over to lowtideboys.com, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a big donate button, and when you donate, that money adds up to a scholarship, and then we give it to Wild to fund one woman or a girl to go one of the camps.
Yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely. So let's go over to our conversation with Mia.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about positive vibes, I mean, it was so great to catch up with Mia. We've kept in touch with her since we met her and Fanny and Catalina, where we recorded episode 10 on like
2020 on the
like a pier, yeah. And it was great to see her in Sweden a few weeks back. We asked her to come back on the show to talk about how to introduce kids and family to swim run and kind of get an update on all things Wild Swim Run. I mean, this conversation had all the positive vibes that we love about swim run and just reaffirmed to us that Mia is just one of the swim run's greatest ambassadors.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. And I mean, it's been 2 or 3 years since we talked to her. So it's also been cool to see how Wild Swim Run has kind of grown to, it was just this kind of thing in Sweden. And now we have ambassadors in the United States, multiple people around, and everything. So it's just so good. And she's always just such a joy and a wonderful person to chat with.
Great.
Always. And she's also, it's nice to hear she's on the road to recovery for her own, physical
she's been pretty
fitness
injured
bit.
for a few years. But
so
she's on her way back. And she's awesome. So enjoy this conversation with Maria, a.k.a. Mia Rohman. She's the best.
You'll be wild about it.
We are very excited to welcome back to the show Mia Rohman. She's the co-founder of Wild Swimrun, friend of ours, friend of the pod. We've known her now for almost 3 years, which is amazing. We got to see her in Sweden for a little bit. Welcome to the show, Mia.
Thank you. And I'm like, has it already been like 3 years? Like
we go
we
way
go back
way
that
back.
long? That's pretty cool, though.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't feel like
Catalina.
that long ago, but Catalina
I can't even
seems
remember the-
so far in the rearview mirror. And, that's where we got to meet you and Fanny and learn about Wild Swim Run. So we'd love to hear from you. How are you doing, first of all? And then tell us how everything's been going.
No, but it's been great years, hectic years. Personally, since Catalina, it's been, I would say, a mix of an uphill and a downhill. I struggled with my knee then, and I've been working really hard to kind of get back into a normal life in one way. Get back into swim running, and I'm slowly getting there. It's hard, but I'm getting there. I've got a great physio. With that has also been a ride with the Wild Swim Run. So Fanny has moved from Barcelona to Miami and Florida, which is great for her. I'm not jealous at all on all her beautiful pictures. And we brought in Helen, who is also a huge swim run fan and lives here in Stockholm, and is just an amazing person. So we're expanding, and then we also brought Trista in the US. So she's also doing an amazing job in the US, sort of spreading the love of swim run amongst women and children. So even if it's been hard with the pandemic that was here to sort of limited the initiatives that we were able to do, it's still good. We're excited.
Yeah.
We have I just sent an email actually to Helen. She hasn't even seen it, but let's have a kickoff and plan for the coming 6 months. Everything we want to do. It's hibernation period in Sweden at the moment. It's getting colder and colder, and we don't want to be outside that much. But there's lots of things that we can do in the name of Wild Swim Run anyway. So.
Yeah, the expansion's been really, really great to watch. Obviously, Trista being the U.S. Ambassador, if you will, I don't think you could have selected anyone better. But we love teaming up with Wild Swim Run any chance that we get, whether it be for a shakeout swim run and fika and whatnot. But also, we saw Wild Swim Run on the podium at Attila as well, with Wild Swim Run West Coast coming in on the podium. So that's really quite an exciting bit of extra amplification of Wild there on the podium. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. There's two great girls living on the Swedish West Coast, also got into swim run. And we really want to see that. We want to see that there are more people getting into the sport, not only us the older generation, I think we can call ourselves at the moment, but younger girls coming in and doing great in the sport. It's fantastic to see. So yeah, we loved seeing them take this on, and the podium is just a bonus. But of course, it helps the show to spread some light on Wild Swim Run as well.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you're thinking. What does the next few years look like for Wild Swim Run, and what are your plans to continue to push that message?
No, so Wild Swim Run is still about bringing new people into swim run to create a place for women to try it out. It seemed to be sort of a competitive sport. It can be tough. And it can be. We all know they can be super tough. But it's also a sport that everyone can do. And we want to keep showing that and creating activities to bring in women to basically dare to try it, and children and families. It's a group sport. You don't have to do it on your own either. Just have people tag along. So want to create smaller events, like local events, where you just go for a trail run, or maybe just a swim, or maybe a wine tasting. It's a community as well. You don't always have to sweat it out together. And we also, of course, want to bring it out to families and to do sports together. I think you have kids as well, and I don't know how often we all sit in the car and just driving our kids around to their sports, and then we try to squeeze in our sports in the meantime. And we want to bring the sport to the family as a thing to do together as well. So these are a few things that we hope that we can do more the coming year. Get back into organizing the weekend trips as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny you mentioned families, because I feel like every swim runner that I have a conversation with about family, they usually say something to the effect of, I would love to do a swim run with my daughter, when they're old enough, my son, when they're old enough. Even just the guests we had recently, they were saying the only way they would do the world championship is if one of their kids wanted to do it with them or something. So I think you see, if people love swim run, they obviously want to share it with the people that they love, and who do they love more than, hopefully their family. And I'm curious from your perspective, and I know you've been posting a lot about this on social media and stuff, like, what do you think swim run can do to make it more family friendly, or at least make it more, I guess, accessible for families to be able to do events?
I think you have to look at it from two angles. One is competitions, and one is just for fun. Or competitions are fun as well, but you don't have to make it so complicated. The events that we organize here in Stockholm regarding families is basically just in my backyard. And the most families that I have joined are non-swim runners. The parents don't know about it. The kids don't know about it. They heard it from my kids in school, and it's like, that's fun. I want to try. And then I tell the parents, you need to come along. And these are quite young kids. I would say they're between 4 and 10. And they're just super excited to jump into the water with shoes and clothes on. Just that is like a huge thing for them. And we I usually do a little loop. So you can choose sort of a longer swim, and a longer swim might be 10 meters. And they just jump in. They can jump in or slide in or walk in. And then they run the loop, and they can run in different speeds, but they always see a friend. And the kids love it, and the parents are amazed seeing the kids love it. So you can make it so easy. But then, of course, you can make it more organized. You can go out as a group, and then you go from A to B, just like you do as an adult. But my kids, they can swim, but they cannot do the front crawl, for example. That makes it a bit more complicated. So I tend here to keep it quite short. Short distances, do a loop, one swim, where they can sort of enter and exit at a few different locations. That's enough. And they just love it. It's all about having fun. And you don't need any gear, really. You can just have your shoes and your running shorts or swimmers, and then they just jump in. And I don't know if that answered your question, but when it comes to event organizers, I think also if you're going to do events where kids can participate, just to keep the distances down. Like the swims are sometimes a bit too long. I would say some of the runs are maybe a bit too long. And the kids don't have to do what we are doing, like the long distances yet. Just keep it short and fun, so they really enjoy it. And then, of course, the longer distances for some kids, they enjoy that more. But if we want to get a larger crowd in, I think we need to keep it quite short.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, honestly, swimrun is just, it's like a grown-ups playing as kids, because you literally, I mean, kids just love running and just doing whatever they want to do.
Yes.
And sometimes that's just headed into the water and then right back out because maybe it's too cold or whatever. So a little kind of loop circuit seems like the perfect opportunity for kids to just adventure and kind of be kids, which is,
it's funny you were saying that, because while Mia was saying it's like, oh, kids, it's just so much, kids just love jumping in with shoes. I was like, I'm a kid.
I kinda
I
like
love
that.
jumping in with shoes too.
Yeah, so that's what I always say to the parents, that they need to join as well. I'm not a babysitter. I'm not taking like 20 kids out to have fun. We do it together. So they need to sort of run with their kids and swim with the kids. And some of them don't feel that confident either. And I said, no, but we are a few here that are confident. We will be in the water as well. Just do a shorter swim. You can breaststroke, you can backstroke, or just float. Have a pull buoy with you. You can have it on your arm if you want some aid. Just get wet, jump in and climb out straight away. But just give it a go. But with that said as well, I want to go back to if there's an event organized, if there is a competition, I think it should be a competition. Kids races can still be a competition. You can still have a podium to sort of get the kids used to the idea they also want to perform sometimes. So I think I always say with Wild, it should be fun. It should not be so competitive at our events. But if it is a competition, the kids love to compete as well. And I think as a young kid, they can get used to that as well. I think it's more we adults that are scared about failure. Kids are not. They go in and they love it. If they're on the podium, they love it. But if they're not, they still love it.
They do have seemingly unerodable confidence. Kids do. No matter how many times proven otherwise, they're just standing right back up to do it again. Now, I don't know if this is a big thing in Europe or in Sweden in particular, but I know growing up on the Wheaties box, the very bland brand cereal Wheaties, where Michael Jordan would be on the box and all that sort of stuff, they had Iron Kids Triathlon. That it was these kids who were preteens, I would say probably maybe 9 to 13, and they were kind of like little triathlete kids, and that was something that they promoted, and they had whole branding around. There was different Wheaties and bread for some reason. Do you remember this Iron Kids bread? No?
I don't.
It was the most unhealthy. It was just plain white bread, but it was Iron Kids. And so it was kind of very interesting that triathlon had that very... maybe it was unintentional. Maybe it was an intentional thing that they did.
Oh, I think it was. I think it was like get the next generation of people to pay $800 for. For
well, it wasn't Iron Man bread. It was.
But did you get inspired?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But did you get inspired?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's one thing. I mean, everyone obviously has their own sort of playbook on how they're bringing up their kids, but I know we like to kind of model off behavior. Like if we are active and going out, and our kids know that, hey, Dad and Chris are going on a run today, or we're going on a swim, like they know that we're out there being active. How much of that, setting an example or being a good role model from being out and active, you don't have to be doing marathons or whatever, but just maybe it's a hike or just being out there. How much of that is do you think plays into the fact that to get more kids into the sport?
Of course, it inspires. I can see I talk a lot about swimrun with my kids, and my daughter, she gets inspired by it. But I also think we need to take the next step. We cannot only, if I do it, they get inspired because they don't always see it. So we have to show it to them. I think sometimes maybe we parents we get a bit caught up in our programs and our sessions, and have to be prepared for this race. But maybe swap one of our sessions and just say, "Hey, join me." And if it's not as long or as intense as we had planned from the beginning, we got to spend that time with our daughter or son and go for that run/walk or skipping or whatever it turns into. So I think to inspire them, they also need to see us do it and maybe do it with us, not only hear about it. Like this morning, I put my kids in front of the TV and said, "Hey, I'm going out for a run." And the whole run, I was thinking, oh my God, it's good. I'm inspiring my kids. And I'm like, I'm inspiring them. They're in front of the TV and I'm out here enjoying the beautiful orange leaves. I'm not inspiring them. I'm being a good mom in one way, but I'm doing this for me. So in hindsight, I should have said, "Hey, come on, let's go for a loop together first. And if you don't want to run more, you can go to the TV and then I continue. But I think we need to bring the kids with us a bit more.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's so true. I mean, I think especially in the States, you hear that a lot. It's like, oh, I'm trying to, I'm training 30 hours a week because I'm trying to set a good example for my kids of having the importance of a healthy lifestyle or whatever. But like you said, Mia, I mean, many ways that's super selfish. Like your kids don't care necessarily if you're winning or whatever. They just want to spend time with you, and I think that's a point well taken. That it's one thing to sort of inspire them and let them know that you believe in a healthy lifestyle, but also to just like include them in it and sort of help them foster that own thing. I mean, so I want to transition a little bit into the gear stuff with that, because, you know, Arc Sports recently released a kid suit, and we think that's so great because that's just another way to kind of reduce the barrier to entry and to make it more accessible to kids. I'm curious what your thoughts on that development, and do you want to see more of that?
Yeah, I love it. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen enough photos, but I haven't seen it. But I love it because today my problem is that my kids get really, really cold, especially my daughter. So I feel really limited of bringing her to do swim run because she gets so cold immediately. And I tried wetsuits, but they don't fit very well, and she still gets very, very cold. And so if we want their kids to start swim run, of course, you can always try it without the gear. But if we want to get serious, they need to have pool boys adapted to them. They need to have maybe not paddles when they're young, but a wetsuit is fantastic. And what Arc is doing, I think, is great. I'm super happy for it. It's a bit expensive, but it is also expensive to do this product. So I totally, the price is totally justified. But yeah, it's great. Good on Arc. They're doing great stuff.
Yeah, and when we were out for Attila on the final 15 on that Saturday, we had met up with Nicholas Ramirez, and they're also a supporter of you, Vivo Barefoot. They had kind of what would you call it? I guess it was like a little program. The kids weren't necessarily super young, middle school age. I think they were more preteen, teenagers, but Vivo Barefoot and Envol had a fairly decent collection of 10 to a dozen kids doing the final 15 that had never done swim run before, and Vivo Barefoot supplied them with shoes, and everyone brought wetsuits for them to use. But that kind of stuff is really going to play a big part in it as well.
Definitely, and I dare to say there is a shift. There's a lot of swim runners that have done this for many years, that their kids are now sort of transitioning into teenagers, and they race with their parents. So there are more and more, I would say, kids or teenagers that are actually start racing with their parents. We had also at the final 15, I think it was Axel Gårds and Fredrik Nilssons, two sort of very experienced swim runners. Their two sons raced final 15. I think they're 13 or 4. I think they're 14, wow. If I'm not. They raced it together. I loved seeing that. They did really well. So not only that they are sort of pairing up with their parents, but they're starting to pair up with each other. And with Wild, we have tried to do that. You guys have been fantastic support in that, helping us with sort of providing scholarships. Now the pandemic is over, so we can finally have the camps that we have been planning for almost 3 years now, where we bring in teenagers to come and try it out and meet each other and hopefully sort of have a life full of swim run.
Yeah, so let's talk about these camps. So, before the pandemic, there was one in Costa Brava, which was awesome. There was one in Utah. During the pandemic, I think you just did a couple in Utah, but what is it looking like now that, dare I say, we're moving past like the bad part of the pandemic? Do you have plans to do more camps and maybe one in the US? Maybe?
Yes. So we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we want to do. We had to postpone one camp, and that's going to happen now, it looks like in March, somewhere in Europe. But we definitely want to set up a camp in the US as well, and to do all these sort of one-day events that we love to do as well. Our problem is that both me, Helen, and Fanny are working full-time, or almost more than full-time, and we do this on the side.
Yeah.
So it's more about our time limitation. And Trista works as well. So we have a lot of ideas. We want to do a lot of things, and we want to do those things good. Yeah. But we also do this, I would say, pro bono. So we hope that we can now set an agenda for next year and do a lot of camps, at least 2 in Europe, 1 in the US.
Wonderful.
And they are, of course, open to both, like any age, I would say. But I would love to have one sort of specifically family-oriented, where both moms and dads and, I don't know, grandfathers and grandmothers, maybe, who knows, but everyone can come and join, and it's focused on having fun as a family.
So for folks that haven't listened, I think it's episode like 11 or something, where we interviewed, it's a long time ago.
Days.
Why don't you tell our listeners kind of like, how do these camps kind of like, what does like the itinerary look like for these types of camps?
So the idea is that everyone should be able to afford to go away on these camps. And they're focused on women, and not too big, between 20 and 30 maximum. It's a long weekend usually, because as moms or parents, a full week is hard to take away from the family. So we try to make them long weekends, off season, to keep the price down and sort of kickstart whatever season it is. It's full on. Usually people arrive. We have a mix of social activities. Everyone gets to introduce themselves, their background. We try to get everyone into the pool as quick as possible, if there's a pool, or into the water, because we've seen that most are a bit nervous about that. So if we just do that, then sort of the chatter starts, the talking starts after that. We try to provide gear. We break the ice. Sometimes we actually have to break the ice as well. We've had a camp
it's
where
not
it
just
snowed.
it's literally break the ice.
It was on Uta. A lot of beginners. No, yeah, exactly. All survived though, and they have done swim run again, which is good. But we try to provide the gear, so you can come. We say don't buy anything before a camp. So just come as you are. Give us your size, and we try to help out and find the wetsuits and gear for you. And I'm a strong advocate for finding the gear that fits you. So there's pool boys in different sizes, there are paddles in different sizes, and I think depending on your goals as an individual, you should adopt the sizes of these to your own needs. So we get everyone to try out the gear. We break. Say you have swim run, but it's sort of, for me, it's 3 disciplines. It's swimming, it's running, and it's strength. Mm-hmm. So we try to do a bit of that. We do running coaching, we do some swimming coaching, both open water and the pool, if it's possible. We do some strength training, we do some yoga or relaxation. We eat, and we have a glass of wine if people want that, and we socialize. And everything is usually included during the weekend. So the idea is that you basically check into a wild camp, and you can check out your brain until you go home, and your wallet as well. So you know how much it costs, and you know what you're going to do there, and you can just enjoy yourself. You can make it super tough if you want, or you can make it easier. But everyone is welcome, and no one is left behind. So we adopt all the sessions. So if you're a bit of a faster runner, you can do a bit more loops. No one should be scared of being sort of the last one or left behind. That just does not happen.
Yeah, and this is and your goal obviously is all sort of skill levels too. So I remember you telling us you have some people that have very limited, maybe almost no open water swim experience, have never done swim runs, and then you have some more experienced people, and sort of having that mix of those, or that range of skill sets, probably helps the newbies, if you will, come up to speed a lot quicker when you have some more kind of swim run veterans or your wild ambassadors there to help them along.
Exactly. So it is tutorial in a way. Like everyone is there, or we want everyone to go away with a new skill set and more confidence in a way. Or with confidence, I'm not saying that people come in without it. But if you haven't tried it before, then you kind of know what's going on afterwards. So there is a different. Some are very experienced and some are not, and we pair them up. So you always have some. You're always stronger in something. So we always try to sort of people try if someone is stronger in the swimming, we pair them up with the running and so on. So we try to cater for everyone's needs and to have fun.
Yeah, have fun at the end of the day is. I have no doubt that you all are having a blast out there for sure. I mean, these camps, I'm very jealous. They do sound like a blast. If you need any chaperones or anything,
yeah,
Low Tide Boyz
I don't think they need
yeah,
us.
and I must say it's so rewarding. Yeah. No, but it's so rewarding. Like at some camps, we've had an age range from 16 to 57.
Wow.
And people come from different countries. You work in different industries. It's just an amazing community of different people, and I love that. You get so much input, and this, I think that's one of the. If we're going to be a bit deeper, it's one of the reasons why I love Wild Swimrun and Helen loves them funny is that. We see that we want it to be inspiring for all ages. We hope that a 16-year-old can go to these camps and see that, okay, maybe I'm having tough teenage years, but look at this woman. She's 30 or 40 or 50 or 60. She's out there doing it. Like, and she's got this career, or she's working with this, or this is her interests, or you sort of get I don't know, an experience in life. You get something more than just swim run. We hope that you can sort of be inspired by the different ages.
You know, and I think there's something else there too, Mia, is that, you know, you go to one of these camps, from what we see, it looks like these relationships continue. It isn't like you go to this camp and you go back home and you go back to your life. Now these people are connected to the community. I remember Catalina, you guys basically brought like a delegation of women to come do the race, which was super awesome. Someone from London, people from Sweden. I mean, I really love that piece of it because essentially you're introducing people to the sport that we obviously love and think it's amazing. But then that actually, these camps create relationships. And I think that's a piece that I really love about it, because you see people partnering up for races. You see these communications lasting, these friendships blossoming, essentially using swim run as like the vehicle for that.
Exactly. And just personal for me, like I have so many new friends that I would not have had if it wasn't for swim run. Most of them I've never been swim running with them, but the community has sort of brought the friendship. And that's what I'm looking at with Wild Swimrun as well. Maybe we don't always have to swim run. Maybe we can just meet up and have like a wine tasting or a strength session, or I don't know, who knows, maybe a book club one day. I don't know. But hopefully it can be a way of to people to meet and sort of have a network of almost like a professional network as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, like Chris was just saying, I mean, I think the community is one of the top reasons why swimrun is such an amazing thing for us and for the folks that get to experience it. And the wild sort of bubble of that community is just as good, if not maybe even a little better, I'd say. So, you know, you can definitely know that the relationships that you build at these camps or with a wild type of event is going to be really, really strong and solid relationships within a great community already.
Yes, and also about the age and the experience. Like some of my friends now through Swimrun are 10 years younger or 10 years older, and I don't think I would have met them otherwise. And I think that goes for a lot of us. In your life, you meet your colleagues or your kids' classmates, but with such a strong community, you suddenly have. I'm talking to you guys, like you're on the opposite side of the world almost, and I'm chatting with. And I'm chatting to Tristan. We talk about kids and, like, you know, not swim run with kids. We talk about that too, but we talk about, raising kids, how it is to be a female in different cultures. Like there's so much more to it. But of course, swimrun is the sort of the thing that binds us all together. And I think going back to the kids and the family part of it, I think we need to do more things together with our children to raise strong individuals. I think that's a gift that we as a parent can give to them. Of course, we should do our own stuff. Like, of course, we need to go for our own runs and do our own races. We are still individuals that need sort of that space as well. But to bring our kids along a bit more, to show them how to do it and get them to blossom with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the key word, kind of trying to get people to blossom. And I think we've seen that just in our, chatting with you and seeing what's happening with Wild Swimrun is you're basically helping people to find a way to blossom, whether it's gaining confidence in a new skill, trying a new sport, meeting new people. I mean, I think it's amazing. And since we first heard about it way back when, we've been champions of it because we think it's such a great message. And I think, you and Fanny kicking that off, I think you guys deserve a lot of credit for doing that. Chipper and I talk about, it's like, there's a lot of people trying to do their part to help grow the sport, right? Mm-hmm. We got this podcast, Jill has TSR Swim Run, there's just obviously Nicholas Ramirez at Envolt coaching everybody on how to do it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are doing the best they can to try to help grow the sport. But I think what you guys are doing and the way you're doing it, it's so amazing. Because it's so organic and it's so great, but it really is helping grow the sport, and I think that's not really a question. I mostly just wanted to tell you that.
Great statement, Chris.
Thank you so much. And it would be nothing if we didn't get the support from everyone around us. And I think that Envol is fantastic what they're doing. They're inspiring all of us to sort of tag along there, and more products are coming out. You guys are doing your podcast and sort of growing and educating people about the sport and inspiring them and making us all laugh.
That's what we do best.
And then you have sort of top athletes that are just amazing to watch. Like if you look at the World Championship, to see sort of the top teams, the way they tackle this. But then you also have the ones sort of more towards the back that work super hard. Like they're still, you're all superhumans that do this race. But it's very inspiring. And I think if we all just chip in a bit, we're all growing the sport.
Yeah.
Are we going to have any more Wild Swim Run delegations at events? Are you going to try to bring a group of people to like Uta or Engadin or something like that? Or Catalina if it happens again?
Yes, I so want to go to Malta personally. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I will be able to do that. I have my kids that weekend, and then the tickets are a bit too expensive. But definitely, we have encouraged people to go to Cannes. I think there's a bunch of wild ladies going to Cannes because it was amazing last year. I think Catalina would be a dream if that happens again. Uta is always mandatory. And this year they've moved it to June, okay, so the water will be a bit warmer. I'm dreaming a bit of doing Uta with my daughter. In June, the water will be warm enough, but she needs to start to learn how to do the front crawl a bit better. But no, there will definitely be more wild delegations at the races, and I would personally love to bring a bunch of Swedes to one of the US races. So maybe after this show, you guys let us know which would be the top 2 favorites that you think that we should bring a wild delegation to. From Europe.
I mean, I can tell you right now.
That's my feedback to you guys. Let me know which 2 races you think would be the best ones.
Yeah, I mean, Casco Bay, it's pretty close to, as close as you can get to Sweden.
It's closer than we are.
Being in the U.S. I think that would be great. It's sort of European style. That would be good. That would be our top choice, I think.
That's pretty sick.
Yep, I'll put that in the calendar and see what we can do.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to tell everyone when we were over in Sweden. It's like, hey, we came out over here. Now you guys come to the States and do a couple races out here, and we'll spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. But I have a question for you guys. What do you think is needed for more kids to try the sport?
Yeah, so
we need parents obviously to try it as well. But what would be your take?
Yeah, this year, Chris and I got to do something that we have never done in all of our years of swim running, is do it with our families there. So there was this really small local race called the Folsom Swim Run, which was only about a 2-hour drive for us. And it was on a Saturday. And it was a really local, small race. It was around a river, so a lot of it was kind of zig. The swims were across to one side, you run up, swim back kind of thing. So it was very, very accessible, very approachable from a difficulty standpoint. But that was the first time that we were doing a race, and we literally ran by our kids, and they were like high-fiving us and screaming for us, and they got to see us finish and stuff. Like, I think that whole bit is so important because it's sort of it's just the same as I remember when I was a kid going to a Major League Baseball game, and you see your people that you kind of idolize or you look up to, like, oh, I get to see this on another level, and having that and your kids being able to see that happen, I think is definitely important to kind of fuel the fire, so to speak, of them wanting to get out there and try something new and different. And I mean, it definitely, to your point earlier in the interview, it's just it's so fun to just jump into the water and then run out and run around and then jump back into the water. Like, it just looks so fun. And I think kids really latch onto that very quickly because it's such a natural thing for a kid to, they have a more sense of adventure. It's less stifled, I guess.
That's a good way to put it, for sure. Yeah, I mean, and it's not just the kids. I mean, one thing that my wife told me after Folsom was, she'd never seen me get ready for a swim run. Like, she's never seen the ritual of, lubing up and getting your pool buoy set up and, all this stuff. And in my household, we watch a lot of Attila YouTube videos.
It's just in the background on the TV.
Is, the kids are into them and stuff. Mm. And, Chipper and I had like 2 seconds of airtime in the 45 in the latest video by Rasmus, and the kids love that. And I think, to your point, I think in the U.S. we need to have more events and more opportunities for kids to witness swim run and to be able to do it and just kind of get inspired. But yeah, I think it's all about, anyone's a parent of kids in the U.S. and they love swim run. I think taking your advice, Fanny, your advice, Mia, is to essentially take them out and do a little short one and see what happens. I think that's, I mean, just echoing exactly what you think we should do is I think what we should be doing here in the States.
I'm giving you guys a challenge. I know you both have kids and they're not that old, but I want to see you to do a swim run with them. Just by, like, you don't have to do it, not a race, but just like,
do something.
Kids, we're going swim running. I don't care if it's like a little paddle pool or if it's just I have a rainfall and there's a puddle outside, and I'd like to see you two do a swim run with your kids.
Challenge accepted.
It can be like 500-meter run and like 2 jumps in a paddle pool. No, you know what? At these events when we had, there was a 4-year-old. She was the one who did like 10 laps. She refused to stop. Wow. So, I mean, they don't have to be able to swim. Wow. They can just, have the puffs on the arms or...
Yeah.
I love it.
They usually have like, the pool boys. I don't know if you've seen the plastic pool boys in Sweden, the first ones that we make ourselves. They are actually made from like a kid's, I don't know what you call it, like a kid's floaty. So you have them around your waist and they sit on the back. So we're taking away the thing that goes around the waist and just sort of put together the 2 floaty things. So when we have the events, the adults and the bigger kids have these as the pool boys. And then the kids that can't swim, they just wear them like they're sort of designed to wear them. And they all look the same. So just put your floaties on the arms on the kids and have a rope between you and the kid. They love that. and go out for a little jog and a cartwheel over a puddle, and you've done a swim run. Doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
No,
I love it.
My kids, letting them jump in puddles, they'd be all about that. So they're going to be on board. A puddle jump and swim run. I like it.
No, that's great. Mia, my cheeks are hurting from smiling for the entire time that we've been chatting. Really can't thank you enough for coming back on. You know, we really love you. We love everything you're doing for the sport. And yeah, and thanks for having this conversation with us. I think when we saw you in Sweden, we're like, we want to have this interview talking about how to get kids into the sport. And you were like, absolutely, just say when. But I'm going on vacation, so we'll do it after that. But wanted to thank you so much for coming back on. And hopefully we will see you before next September.
I definitely hope so. We have to make that happen. And I'm just, Wild Swimrun, we're a crowd now. It's just not me and Fanny, it's Helene and it's Trista and the rest of the community. So it's great to see. And we will keep going strong.
Yeah. So be sure to head over to wildswimrun.com to find out if you, how can you not like what you're hearing from Mia here? Head on over there to there's Facebook community groups to check out how to get involved. If that's something, find an event in your area, or maybe even sign up to be the next Wild Ambassador in your area there. That's over on Wild Swim Run. You could also search it up on Facebook, of course. But yes, Mia, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys, and keep up the fantastic work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right,
take care.
Bye. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swim run.
Sign up for our newsletter at lowtideboys.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at the Low Tide Boys on Instagram. If you have any suggestions for the show or questions for us, send us a DM or an email at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of all our swim run activities, podcast, and other stuff.
Yeah, other stuff. Way to keep it PG. Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Go for a run.
Then another swim.
Then another run.
And then another swim.
And then another run.
And then just keep going. Until you're done.
Or maybe can't stop.